Saturday, one application I given. That application, login and registration application. This is not completed. Just HTML page, 2 HTML programs completed. That is also how to explain, not completed. Say homepage.html. Here, when you send request to homepage.html, this is the output comes. Welcome to Nareshai Technologies, login, registration. If you click on login hyperlink, login.html. If you click on registration hyperlink, registration.html. Okay. That is our task. So in registration.html, n number of fields you can write: first name, last name, address, mobile number, mail ID, whatever you want, you can write. And after entering, you'll click on submit button, then Solid should execute. But just this HTML completed. See, this is first homepage.html. It is homepage.html. See, here login. Login is a hyperlink created whenever you click login.html executed. Registration hyperlink, if you click reg.html executed. Okay. This is homepage.html. Here I used anchor tag. Anchor tag. So it is hyperlink created. Whenever you click login.html executed, it is anchor tag. Registration hyperlink created. Whenever you click reg.html executed. Okay. If you click on login hyperlink, login.html. If you click on registration hyperlink, registration.html. These two programs we have tried. One program we written reg.html. In this program, here, what is reg? It is URL pattern of Solid. URL pattern of registration Solid. Okay. What is F name, L name, U name, P word? Request parameter names. These are called request parameter names. Request parameter names. Here, these four called labels. These four are called labels. Okay. Now, here, if we click on submit button, the value of action attribute in a form tag executed. Okay. The value of action attribute in a form tag executed. That means registration Solid executed. When you click on reset button, all fields data erased. All fields data erased. This is, you have seen, this is HTTP method post. Now, about post, about this one, about submit button, about reset button, I have to give a notes. It is not completed. Just one more HTML program I'll give. After that, this notes I'll give. See, according to this homepage.html completed, reg.html completed. We have tried login.html. The login.html first I'll explain. Say, right click, new HTML file. Here, login.html. If I click on next, if I click on finish, this is the default generated. I'll remove this. I'll remove this. Now, HTML open, HTML close. Body open, body close. Body background color. Which attribute you have tried? BG color. Suppose yellow. Text color. Suppose red. Okay. Now here, this is our task. This total content I want center. This total content I want center. You can write center tag. Center attribute alignment also possible. Now After this login form, like level 1 heading required, underline required. Then what are the tags we have to write? H1U, login form. Okay, login form, level 1 heading, underline text. After this, these tags, input tags, form tag required. Form open, form close. In between, we require two fields, username, password. So username, input type equal to text, name equal to suppose uname, line break, password, input type equal to password, name equal to p-word, line break, one more line break. Now input type equal to submit button, input type equal to reset button. Here, whenever you click on submit button, attribute, action attribute executed in a form tag, action equal to, here when you click on submit button, login solid should call. This solid URL pattern I'll write here. Action equal to login. Then login solid is going to be executed. Here method equal to post required. Method equal to post. How many? Say total 7 HTTP methods are there. Now post required. I'll explain. This program same is there. You observe. Only here 4 fields are there. Here 2 fields are there. Okay. Now, if I run this program up to here, you observe run on server. Save. Localhost, Tomcat, next, finish. Say homepage.html. Okay, homepage.html. If you click on registration, say reg.html. If you click on login, login.html. Okay. Now, first you write the program. Login.html, right? Login.html. Note on. Login.html. So login.html to registration.html, only 2 fields less. That's it. Remaining same. Is it completed? Not over. Here, what is login? What is login? URL pattern of login solid. Note down. URL pattern of login solid. Here, uname keyword. These two are request parameter names. Request parameter names. Here, username and password. What are these? Labels. Labels. What is this post? HTTP method. It is HTTP method. Username, password, labels. Uname, keyword, request parameter names. Login, URL pattern of login solid. Post, HTTP method. I have to explain about this submit button, reset button, HTTP method, URL pattern. These all I have to explain. Not completed. Is it over? So it is HTTP method. HTTP method. It is URL pattern of login solid. Here uname and keyword request parameter names. Here username and password labels. See, if we don't write labels, only two boxes displayed. Okay. Then here what we have to enter, user cannot understand. That is the reason username, password, labels. Okay. This is end user purpose. End user purpose, username, password. But in both the boxes, we'll enter the data. To receive data, these names required. Solid purpose. It is programmer purpose. Java programmer purpose, these two required. When you click on submit button, login solid should be executed. But how server will understand login solid should execute with this action? So whenever you click on submit button, the value of action attribute executed. Whenever you click on submit button, the value of action attribute executed. That is mechanism already built in. Whenever you click on reset button, all fields data erased. Now, I'll explain. Say homepage.html. This is homepage.html. Here, HTML open, HTML close. In between body open, body close. Background color, yellow color I given. Text color, red color I given. So total background, yellow color displayed. Red text color, red color displayed. Total content is centered. Center tag, center alignment purpose. Okay. Level 1 heading. Welcome to Naresh Technologies I given. With this text displayed, level 1 heading text. Like that, total 6 levels of headings are there. H1 to H6. So 6 levels of heading is there. First level heading I written. Now it is anchor tag. It is anchor tag. In between whatever you write, it is created as hyperlink. So it is login hyperlink. It is registration hyperlink. When you click on login hyperlink, it is hyperlink reference. When you click on login, login.html open. When you click on registration, reg.html open. In between line break. Otherwise, same line displayed. That's what line break. Here reg.html. Here HTML open, HTML closed. Body open, body closed. And background color yellow, text color red. Total content is centered. After that, registration form displayed with level 1 heading text and underline text. And here, when you click on submit button, the value of action attribute executed in a form tag. So this is a registration solid URL pattern. And when you click on reset button, all fields data erased. Now here text box, text box, text box. It is password box. Here your text not displayed, stars displayed. And to receive data in solid, these names required: F name, L name, U name, P word. First name, last name, username, password. These four labels. These four request parameter names. Here in between line break I given. Here next line, again next line, again next line. Here one more line break I'll write. One more line break also, 2 lines. Here login.html. Same style is there. HTML open, HTML close. Body open, body close. Background color yellow, text color red. Total content is centered. And when you click on submit button, the value of action attribute executed. Then login solid executed. This is HTTP method. I have to explain. Here also HTTP method post. Here also HTTP method post. And this is level 1 heading underline text login form. Username, password, user purpose, uname, keyword, solid programmer purpose. It is text box created. It is password box created. Now I'll run this program again. Run on server. Save. Select the server. Click on next button. Click on finish button. Here homepage.html. Okay, this is homepage.html. See, background color yellow I given, text color red I given. After that, total content centered, center tag given. This is level 1 heading underline text. Sorry, this is only level 1 heading I given, underline I didn't give. These two hyperlinks created between anchor tags. If I click this, login.html. If I click this, registration.html. See, if I click login.html here, login.html program opened. Okay. Here, whatever you are typing here, these are called request parameter values. Like this is label. This is label. For this box name, uname I given in a program. Uname. That will not be displayed. And for this box name, P word I given. This will not be displayed. These two not displayed. Okay. Whatever you enter, these are called request parameter values. These two are called request parameter names. With this name, we'll get this value. With this name, we'll get this value. This is only user purpose. Okay. This is login.html. Back. Registration. It is reg.html. Okay. It is reg.html. Here. If we click registration solid executed, whatever you enter request parameter values, and see after typing, if you click on reset button, all fields data erased. After typing, if you click on submit button, registration solid executed. See here, URL pattern reg, action equal to return, no, that is displayed. Now, after writing program, that will be displayed, executed, but here not found. Now, these all, first of all, notes I have to give, not complete. These notes I'll give. Just note on. Note, default functionality available for submit and reset buttons only in HTML. Default functionality available for submit and reset buttons only in HTML. Default functionality available for submit and reset buttons only in HTML. So submit button, reset button automatically works. No need to write any logic. No need to write any code. Default functionality available for submit and reset buttons only in HTML. So these two buttons by default works. Submit, reset. Okay. See here, this submit button, if you click, automatically this is executed. Suppose in a browser window, submit query displayed. That it depends upon browser. Some browser submit shows, some browsers it shows submit query. Suppose I'll change the browser, web browser. I'll change to Chrome. See, right click, run on server, localhost Tomcat. Here, homepage.html. If I click login, see, you are getting here submit. You are getting submit. But in the internal web browser, what is displayed? Submit query. That is depends upon browser. That is now. But here, I've shown Saturday. If you write like this, input type equal to button, then also button created. Then also button created. But is it submit button? No, it is normal button. See, now one button created. Now, homepage.html. When you click on login, see, submit, it is normal button. Normal button. But if you write submit here, if you write submit, value equal to submit, if you write, it appears like a submit button, but doesn't work. Right click, run on server, save. If I click on login, see, it is submit button, but this button doesn't work. It appears like a submit button. It is not a submit button. It is normal button, label only submit. Okay, caption submit. It doesn't work. So that's what it should be, input type equal to submit. Input type equal to submit. Okay. Now here, when you click on submit, this is executed. When you click on reset, all fields data erased. Right, next point. The value of action attribute is executed. The value of action attribute is executed whenever submit button is clicked. The value of action attribute is executed whenever submit button is clicked. The value of action attribute is executed whenever submit button is clicked. All fields data erased whenever reset button is clicked. All fields data erased whenever reset button is clicked. The value of action attribute is executed whenever submit button is clicked. All fields data erased whenever reset button is clicked. So default functionality available for submit and reset buttons only in HTML. These two buttons by default works. If you want to write for any other button, you have to write JavaScript code. Okay. These two buttons by default works. Now the value of action attribute is executed whenever submit button is clicked. All fields data erased whenever reset button is clicked. So submit button is clicked means value of action attribute executed. Reset button is clicked means all fields data erased. That is okay. Here, if we click this one, it is executed. That means login solid executed. If you click this one, whatever you entered, data erased. Same here. If you click submit button, this registration solid executed. If you click here, all fields data erased. But what is this HTTP method? See, note on. There are 7 HTTP methods. There are 7 HTTP methods. First one, get. Second one, post. Third one, put. Fourth one, head. Fifth one, delete. Sixth one, options. Seventh one, trace. There are 7 HTTP methods. First one, get. Second one, post. third one put, fourth one delete, head, fifth one delete, fifth one delete, sixth one trace, options, seventh one trace. There are 7 HTTP methods. Default HTTP method is get. Default HTTP method is get. If you don't write anything, which type request? Get type request. Default HTTP method is get. So by default, get type request comes. By default. That means in previous all programs, requested type is get. HTTP method get worked. HTTP method get. Now method equal to post I written. These two only in use. These 5 not in use. These two only required. These two I'll explain. Remaining 5 not required. 7 HTTP methods are there. We are using only 2. Get, post. Now, is it over? First of all, for executing this program, executing that program, what we'll do, we'll type in address bar homepage.html. Homepage.html, I'll type my request passed, get type request. Get type HTTP method working. After that, when I click on login, again get type request only. When I click on registration, again get type request only. After getting HTML programs, after getting registration.html, login.html, whenever you click on submit button, one more request passed to registration solid. That is post to type. So if you don't write anything, suppose if I don't write anything, which type request? Get type request. If I write like this, post to type request. It is not compulsory to write capital letters. You can write small letters also, capital also, mixed also. For better understanding, I'm writing capital. You can write small letter also, capital also, mixed also. Because HTML not a case sensitive, case insensitive. You can write any style. See, here you observe this method equal to post place. I'm not writing anything. I removed. Okay, I removed. Now, here login.html. Here login.html post is there. Registration.html nothing is there. Say nothing is there means which type? Get type. Post is there, post type. Now I'll execute both the programs. You observe. Now here first I'm sending request. I'm sending request with HTTP protocol to homepage.html. Which method is working now? Which method? Get method. Okay, get method executed. Now, if I click on login, login.html, again one more request passed now. Again, which HTTP method? Get only. If I click on registration, get only. So if I click registration, get. If I click login, get. 3 get type requests is all. Now, in the login.html, what I given? Post. reg.html, I didn't give anything. Nothing but again get. reg.html. So first I'll show you reg.html, this one. If I click, now it a get type request came. Now, if I type data, if I click submit button, again request password to solid. Which type request? Now, get type request password. So here, what is happening? See, reg URL pattern, first name, last name, username, password, all displayed. This is get type request. This is a problem. Okay. Now, suppose here login, here username, here password. If I click submit button, is it displayed here? No. So between get and post, one difference you identified. Okay, between get and post, you identified one difference. There are many differences. I'll explain. First, this is the main difference. Here, if the password is confidential or not? Confidential. then compulsory we have to write post. Here also password is there. It is confidential. Compulsory post you have to write. You should not write get. If the data is confidential, compulsory you have to write post. First, what is the difference between get and post? That is I'll explain. Note on. Get versus post. Get versus post. One side get, one side post. Get versus post. Get versus post. Get versus post. Now get side. It includes request parameters. It includes request parameters in a request header in packet. It includes request parameters in a request body. In packet. It includes request parameters in a request header in a packet. Here, data transferred client to server, server to client in the form of packets. You studied in your academics, TCP packet, UDP packet, these type of packets will be there. CSC, CSAT students, you studied. Here, it includes request parameters in a request header in packet. It includes request parameters in a request body in packet. First, what is happening? Just you observe. One packet created. While sending data, one packet created. In that packet, this is called header. This is called body. It is header, it is body. Header part is less, body part is more. It is called packet. Now, it includes request parameters in a request header in packet. Request parameters are included here. 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 It is header. It is body. Here packet. Here it includes request parameters in a request body. Here included. Like this. So data transferred client to server, server to client in the form of packets. Packet contains two parts, header part, body part. If you use get method, your request parameters are included in a header part. If you use post method, it is included in body part. First, this is the difference. First, this is the difference. Write this one. I'll explain. It includes request parameters in a request header in packet. It includes request parameter in request body in packet. Is it over? Here, whatever is there in header part now, that is displayed in address bar. Whatever is there here in body part now, not displayed. Header part, whatever is there, that is going to be displayed in address bar. Is it over? Next, write it. Here, all request parameters are displayed in address bar. Here, request parameters are not displayed. Here, request parameters are not displayed. Here, all request parameters are displayed in address bar. Here, request parameters are not displayed. So whatever is there in the header, that is displayed in address bar. Whatever is there in the body, that is not displayed. So this is also based on first one only. Okay. Now here all request parameters. Here all request parameters are concatenated as a one string. That is called query string. All request parameters are concatenated as a one string and passed to server. Here request parameters are passed to server field by field or parameter by parameter you can write. Here all request parameters are concatenated as one string and passed to server. Here request parameters are passed to server parameter by parameter. So here one parameter passed. Here all parameters concatenated as a one string and passed. So in the address bar, URL pattern, question mark, first request parameter name equal to parameter value. Second question mark equal to, either displayed no all. First name, last name, username, password, all displayed. Now it is little bit fast. It is little bit fast. It is slow. Post is slow. Get is fast. It is little bit fast. It is slow. One more. Header part we cannot increase. Body part can be increased. Size of the data limited. In the address bar here, in address bar, you have seen in address bar displayed here. In address bar displayed, like this is called query string. Now the data here continuously, if you type in address bar, continuously if you type here in address bar, somewhere it is going to end. Somewhere it is going to end. That is browser dependent. Some browsers 8 kilobytes, some browsers 16 kilobytes, like that supports. So continuously if you type, somewhere it is going to stop. That means up to that much data only can send. More than that data, if you send also, that data loss will occur. Data loss. So truncated data. So you write here. Here size of the data is limited. Here size of the data is not limited. Here size of the data is limited. Here size of the data is not limited. Here size of the data is limited. Here size of the data is not limited. So here n number of bytes you can send. Here limitation is there. That it depends upon browser. Some browser may support 8 kilobytes, some browser may support 16 kilobytes, like that. Depends upon size. Depends upon version, depends upon browser. Size limit is there. Here no limit. Okay. Next. Suppose here whatever we are typing here, that is displayed in address bar. Okay. Suppose here your photo also is there. Suppose will it display that photo in address bar? Not suitable. It is not suitable for uploading. Uploading files. It is suitable for uploading files also. It is not suitable for uploading files. It is suitable for uploading files also. Use get method if the data is not confidential. Use post method if the data is confidential. Use get method if the data is not confidential. Use post method if the data is confidential. Say your username, password is there. Password is confidential data, no? In that situation, compulsory use post. If you use get, your password other people can see. Okay, passwords, PIN numbers, security code, this type of code is there. Don't use get, use post. Okay. So like this, get and post differences. Get and post differences. There are 7 HTTP methods, only 2 in use, get and post. Get and post differences are given. What you have to do is, if the data is confidential, use post. The data is not confidential, use get, because get is little bit fast. All concatenated as a one string and pass it. Okay. And but here major, this is only 8 kilobytes means so much information you can pass. Size is not a problem. Okay. But main thing, main difference is, if you use get, your data displayed in address bar. If it is post, not displayed. So confidential data is there. You should not use get. Other people can see your confidential data. If sensitive information is there, you should not use get. That is remember. Now here in our application, first home page.html. Okay. Here that method equal to post, the all we cannot write also. Here form tag is not there. Okay. From here, when you click on submit button, form action is executed. Then which type of method you want to use? Post, because here password is there. Here also password is there. That's what we must use post. Both the cases we have to use post. Now this is get versus post. Now depends upon your application requirement, you select whether get required or post required. After that, here it is HTTP methods. Now actually writing Solid program, there are three ways. First way, by implementing Solid interface. Second one, by extending generic Solid. Third one more extending HTTP Solid. Previous all programs I taught generic Solid. Now I'll teach HTTP Solid. With that, we'll write this program. These solids I'll teach with HTTP Solid. First, what is the difference between generic Solid, HTTP Solid? That is also required. So here, just note on next point. This difference is over. There are three ways to write Solid program. There are three ways to write Solid program. First one, by implementing Jakarta.solid interface. For second one, by extending Jakarta.solid.generic solid class. Third one, by extending Jakarta.solid.hdp solid class. There are three ways to write Solid program. First one, by implementing Jakarta.solid.solid interface. Second one, by extending Jakarta.solid.generic solid class. Third one, by extending Jakarta.solid.hdp solid class. Three ways. There are three ways to write Solid program. There are three ways to write Solid program. First one, by implementing Jakarta.solid.solid interface. Second one, by extending Jakarta.solid.generic solid class. Third one, by extending Jakarta.solid.hdp solid class. Three different ways are there to write Solid program. There are three different ways to write Solid program. Is it over? Here, Solid interface. Solid interface, generic solid class, HDP solid class. Three ways. Here, generic solid, HDP solid. It is solid is super interface for generic solid. Generic solid is super class for HDP solid. It is interface. You already studied in this interface how many abstract methods are there? 5 abstract methods. Generic solid is abstract class. In this class, how many abstract methods are there? 1, which is service method. 1 abstract method. Okay. HDP solid also abstract class. HDP solid also abstract class, but no abstract methods. Without abstract method, abstract class possible or not? Possible or not? Possible. It's studied in Corjo class. This is only proof. Without abstract class, abstract method. Okay. Here, without abstract method, abstract class possible. Now, here, solid interface, generic solid, HTTP solid. Now, there are three ways to write solid program. First, you note on this one. Is it over? There are three ways to write solid program. First one, by implementing solid interface. If you implement solid interface, how many methods mandatory to override? 5 methods. Okay. If you extend generic solid class, 1 method mandatory. If you extend HTTP solid class, no method mandatory. But no method mandatory if you don't override any method, if you don't write anything, no error, no exception, no output also. Output also will not come. Okay. Error will not come, exception will not come, output will not come. That means you must select one method, you have to override. They given freedom to select. Okay. Here no freedom, that method only you have to override. Here they given other methods. You can choose. You can select according to your application requirement. That is a freedom is there in this case. That's what will go for HTTP solid. So if we implement solid interface, no alternative, 5 methods compulsory you have to override. If you extend generic solid, no alternative, compulsory this method you have to override, that is only you have to use. But if you extend HTTP solid, many alternatives are there, you have to select. So methods alternative I'm saying. Solid alternative means 3 ways. These 3. For this one, it is alternative, one more, like that. But here, methods, many methods are there, you have to select according to your requirement. So no method mandatory, but you need to select. You must write at least one method you have to write. Then only useful. How to select? I'll explain. Now, here, HTTP solid, generic solid. Differences also I have to explain. Okay. Next, write it. Generic solid versus HTTP solid. Generic solid versus HTTP solid. One side generic solid. One more side HTTP solid. Generic solid versus HTTP solid. One side generic solid. One more side HTTP solid. Generic solid versus HTTP solid. Now, It is a protocol independent. It is a protocol independent. It is HTTP protocol dependent. It is a protocol independent. It is HTTP protocol dependent. So generic Solid works on any protocol, but HTTP Solid works on HTTP protocol only. Present in internet, which protocol we are using? HTTP. HTTPS. HTTPS also extension of HTTP. HTTPS, what will happen? Client to server, server to client, data encrypted format transferred. Suppose bank applications are there. By default, HTTPS comes. That means encrypted format transferred. While transferring, if anybody asks the data, they cannot understand. That is the reason HTTPS should be there while doing bank transactions. Okay. Now, it is a protocol independent. It is HTTP protocol dependent. So in internet present, we are using only HTTP. If you generic Solid also works, HTTP Solid also works. Here, in future, if any other protocol comes on that also generic Solid works, but HTTP Solid doesn't work. It is only for HTTP protocol. But in these two, only this one, if you compare, which is better appears? Generic Solid better appears in this case. But only this case we should not observe. Other cases also, all other difference also you have to observe. No? Next, write it. It supports common services. Examples, forwarding and including. It supports HTTP specific services. Example, redirecting and session tracking. Generic Solid versus HTTP Solid. Generic Solid is protocol independent. HTTP Solid is protocol dependent. Generic Solid supports common services, forwarding including. HTTP Solid supports HTTP specific services, redirecting, session tracking. Suppose further you will see Solid forwarding, Solid including, Solid redirecting, Solid's session tracking. These all programs you are going to see further. It is just a basic servlets completed. Basics you studied. Very beginning. Okay. Like these all you are going to see. Solid forwarding, Solid including, Solid redirecting, session tracking. These all you are going to see. Now, generic Solid supports forwarding including. These are common to all protocols. It is HTTP protocol concept. Redirecting, session tracking, this type of mechanisms. What is forwarding, what is including, what is redirecting, what is session tracking, not completed. Further we'll see. Okay. Even definitions also I didn't give. See, now, which is superclass, which is subclass here? Generic Solid is superclass. HTTP Solid is subclass. Using superclass object, can I access subclass members? No. Using subclass object, can I call superclass member? Then which is better? HTTP Solid is better. Because it is subclass. With subclass, all you can access. With superclass, all you cannot access. With generic Solid, if you write, forwarding possible, including possible. But redirecting, session tracking, you cannot implement. Doesn't work. If you use HTTP Solid, it works. But in this one also works because subclass. Write this one. By using generic solid, we can access or we can implement common services only. By using HDP solid, we can implement both common services and HDP specific services. Because HDP solid is a subclass of generic solid. By using HDP solid, we can implement both common services and HDP specific services because HDP solid is a subclass of generic solid. By using HDP solid, we can implement both common services and HDP specific services because HDP solid is a subclass of generic solid. Now you can implement forwarding also, including also, redirecting also, session tracking also, welcome program to last program, all possible with HDP solid. But all programs not possible with generic solid because that is superclass. But why they given two solids? They can give only one solid. Why they given two solids is, suppose it is generic solid, it is HDP solid. It is HDP solid. Now, what they did, two separate classes written, which are common to all protocols, they written here. Which are specific to HDP protocol, they written here. In future, one ABC protocol comes. Then what they'll do? They'll create ABC solid. Then they'll derive from generic solid. They can add other services here. But if they don't write this type, suppose only one class was there, but ABC protocol may not support HDP protocol services at the time, how to do? That's the reason they prepared like this. In future, if any new protocol comes, they'll create one more solid, which is common already separated. That is, they'll derive from generic solid. If like this is not there, again from the beginning they have to implement. That is a problem. That's what they prepared like this. Which are common to all protocols, they written here. Which are specific to HDP protocol, they written here. Now, in future, if any protocol comes, they'll derive from generic solid. Then it will work. It supports that protocol service also, common services. In future, one more protocol may comes. They'll derive from generic solid again. It supports these services. It supports generic solid. Like that. So that is the reason only inheritance. Inheritance purpose is that one. Modularity, reusability, advantages. No. Now, here, by using HDP solid, we can implement both common services and HDP specific services because HDP solid is a subclass of generic solid. Okay. Now here, seeing this generic solid versus HDP solid. First of all, how many ways are there to write solid program? 3 ways. First one is by implementing Jakarta.solid interface. If you implement this one, how many methods mandatory to override? 5 methods. Okay. There is no other option. 5 methods compulsory how to override. In that case, if you extend generic solid, how many method mandatory? 1 method mandatory. That is service. That is only how to override. No other option. But if you extend HDP solid, you have a freedom. Many methods are there. We can select. What are the methods are there? I'll show you. Now, if you implement solid interface, all methods compulsory how to override. Instead of that, we'll go for generic solid, HDB solid. In these two, which is better? HDB solid, because it is a subclass. It is subclass of generic solid. Using subclass members you can access, superclass members you can access. Everything possible. That is the reason we'll go for HDB solid. But if you select HDB solid, which method you have to override, how to select? That knowledge required. No? I'll give that one. Now, Java P Jakarta dot solid dot HDP dot HDP solid. Here methods are there. Here you observe every HDP method, separate method is there. Separate method. You observe. See, do get method, head, do post, do put, do delete, do option, do trace. These 5 methods already told, not required. We can delete. But still 4 methods are there. Still 4 methods are there. Do get, do post, service. No done. How to select, I'll explain. Which method we have to select and how to select, I'll explain. No done. Do get, do post, service. So 4 methods are there. Do get, do post, service. Is it over? Do get, do post, service, service. If you implement solid interface, how many methods compulsory to override? 5 methods. If you extend generic solid, how many method compulsory? 1 method. If you extend HDP solid, no method mandatory. But what we have to do, we have to select in these all which is required. Then how you'll understand what's the difference you should know. Then you'll understand. Now, this method, service method, this method, service method, same method name is there. But what's the difference is there? Parameter different. Is it overloading or overriding? Overloading. Method name same. Parameter listed different. Okay. Now, if you select this service method, HTTP solid request, HTTP solid response comes. If you select this service method, solid request, solid response comes. But here also, solid request, solid response, super interfaces. Solid request is super interface, solid response is super interface. HTTP solid is sub interface. This is also you should know. Solid request, solid response, HTTP solid request, HTTP solid response. Let us write it. Solid request is super interface, solid HTTP solid request is sub interface. Solid response is super interface, HTTP solid response is sub interface. Is it over? Here which one is better? HTTP solid request better or solid request is better? HTTP solid request is better because it is sub interface. It is sub interface. Suppose if we extend generic solid, compulsory service method only or to override, there is no other option. But if we extend HTTP solid, we have do get also, do post also, service also, one more service also. Suppose if I override this method, then no difference between generic solid, HTTP solid. Extend generic solid, this method only or override, no? Again extend HTTP solid, again this method only if you override, then no difference between generic solid, HTTP solid. Same, both are same. Only class name extends HTTP solid appears, but no use if you override this method. That means this method we should not override. If you override this one, no difference between generic solid, HTTP solid. Okay. That's what either do get or do post or this service. You have to override. But you already studied how many life cycle methods are there? 3. What are those? Init, service, destroy. Web container knows only three methods. Init, service, destroy. Init, destroy till I didn't explain. That later we'll see. But service. Which service is lifecycle service method? This public, this servlet request, servlet response method, or HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response method? Servlet request, servlet response. This is lifecycle method. Web container calls only this method. Web container doesn't know other methods. But I am saying, oh, we have to override these three methods. We should not override this method, I'm saying. Okay. If you override other methods, how it will be called? Web container doesn't know. That is, we'll see tomorrow class. Okay.